This is Gemara from Shabbos. We are up to Daf Yud Aleph or Daf Yud on the base, actually towards the bottom. Just a quick introduction, something I should have told you yesterday, but it's good and it's important to know for general knowledge. That's about Rosh Chodesh. According to the Ramban, according to Ramban, Hillel had organized all the Chadashim until Mashiach comes, and he was kaveh the Rosh Chodesh because we don't have a bezin of smicha anymore. So he did it back then, and this is not Hillel Hanasi, but this is Hillel Damoira. Third generation of Amoraim, and he then declared Rosh Chodesh until Mashiach comes, and therefore Rosh Chodesh is fixed the way it is right now. As a result of that, the Avnei asked a bunch of questions. One of them is in his Shuvas. So how come if you get married the first night of Rosh Chodesh, we say you don't have to repeat it because you're not Mekadosh, you don't make Rosh Chodesh until the following morning. But if Hillel already made Rosh Chodesh, then it's definitely Rosh Chodesh. So then you shouldn't repeat the other. So then he wants to say that since you cannot be matish adavar shalom b'lolim, you cannot make something holy that hasn't happened yet. So how did Hillel do in the first place? Because mechusas man, it's only lacking in time, but the time is normally in the morning, and then once it comes in the morning, then it's retrospective. So therefore, at night, still it hasn't yet coincided the Rosh Chodesh. However, Shittus Rambam is like the Ralbach and the Mari Barav, the famous argument they had about smicha. We'll talk about in the future whether if all the Rabbanim at Yisrael joined together, can they maybe appoint someone as a Rav, as if they have smicha, they link back to Moshe Rabbeinu. So according to them, the Rosh Chodesh is being declared every month. In fact, that's the Minig Yisrael. The Minig Yisrael today is that we make Kiddush HaChodesh every month, and we also announce the Moiled. Why are we announcing the Moiled? The basis for that is if you follow Shitz Rambam, when Klal Yisrael, especially all the Yidden at Yisrael, get together and they declare that Rosh Chodesh will be this coming Tuesday or Wednesday, and they do the Moiled, it's as if now and here and now we just Mekadosh the Chodesh. We just declared the Chodesh. Nothing to do with Hillel in the past. It's happening all the time. But then the problem is what happens in the month of Tishrei, and that's what Rosh Hashanah says that month the Eibush is Mekadosh the Chodesh, not us, and gives us the ability to Mekadosh the rest of the month. So Piniglo means, according to the Rambam, it gives us the ability to link back Smicha to Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai so that we can be Mekadosh the Chodesh. Anyhow, the Gemara continues on Daf Yud Amud Beis in the very bottom of the page. We're talking about EBRs and we'll learn now on what basis do you decide to make a leap year. We'll learn different. Sometimes some factors are so important that even just one factor is missing will make a leap year. Sometimes we need two factors, and sometimes we have one factor and something sort of subordinate to that, as we'll see. Says the Gemara. I thought we learned. First of all, the bezin, we said 3, 5, and 7, but the people that are going to join have to be invited in. They can't just waltz in. Rabbi Gamliel was the Nasi, said, "I bring me 7 people to sit down as a bezdin." He woke up and he saw there were 8 people there. Yeah, whoever came here without permission, please leave because you have to be invited. Ahmad Shmuel HaKatan, who was called Shmuel HaKatan, seeing more later, he was a Navi, and just like Shmuel HaNavi, he was an unbelievable. He was also had Ruach HaKodesh, but we call him Shmuel HaKatan because he wasn't really able to utilize his skills because the generation wasn't suited. I joined our mission. I didn't go to join the Bezdin. I came here to just observe. In that case, sit here. Really, all the years should be moving to you. You're a great man. You cannot invite anybody. You cannot join unless you are invited. So you can't join in. Second one further, the truth of the matter is it wasn't even Shmuel HaKatan, somebody else. He didn't want to embarrass anybody, so he volunteered that. And how do you find such an example that you make up a story, you lie? We had in Matzi is that certain occasions you're not allowed to lie. The 3 things of Talmud Chacham. We also had in Yevamos the base where you're allowed to lie for shalom bayis. Here we have a case to avoid embarrassing others. You're allowed to lie as well. Rebbe's one city, he was dashing, and he smelled a terrible odor it was odious, from garlic. Whoever ate garlic, please leave the room. Rabchia stood up, the Yotzi went out. Then everyone followed him and walked out of the room. The following morning, so Rebbe sat there alone. Rabbi said Shimon met Rabchia. You caught my father such hag mas nefesh. You walked out, everybody else walked out. I'm like, take it every so. God forbid, he said. Heaven forbid, I would never do that. But you know what? I didn't want to embarrass the right person, so I walked out, and everybody else walked out, so nobody was embarrassed. But how do you learn this behavior is correct, even though he's lying? But the time we learned, a woman came into the mayor's room. She said, we find the mayor a number of times. He was so humble that he accommodated other people, even though it came at a cost to himself. And so on. Here's another example. A woman came in and said, one of your people came and had a biblical relationship with me and to marry me, even though we learned in Kedushin that's princess, that's a terrible way of doing it. But one of your students did it. And obviously, whoever it was would be very embarrassed. The mayor stood up, the cost of law get kisses, and wrote her out a get. Of course, the mayor wasn't the one who did it, but he didn't want to embarrass. And then what happened was the Nosla gave it to her. They stood up, Kosru Kulam. Every student wrote a get, and one of them obviously was the one. And this way he avoided anyone being embarrassed. The Nosla gave it to her. But where did Amei learn such behavior from? That you can stand up and put yourself on the line, even though you're definitely not guilty. He learned in Mishmul, Hakot, like the story we just said. Where did he learn it from? Mishchanya ben Yechil. He learned it from a man called Shchanya ben Yechil in times of Ezra. When Ezra came to Yisrael, the Eden were total ignoramuses, and they were all married out. They married out. So Shchanya ben Yechil, who was a tzaddik, and he did not marry out. The Sivat says, "Vayan Shchanya ben Yechil b'nei Elam." Shchanya ben Yechil, the son of Elam, said, "V'yoyim Ezra, anachnu ma'alnu v'lakeinu." We sin. We married non-Jewish women, but the noshim nachrias, we actually married non-Jewish women, mamiyadas, from women in the land. Avata now, yesh mikli Yisrael al zois. There's hope because we can all do children. Now Shchanya ben Yechil definitely did not marry a non-Jewish woman, but he didn't want to embarrass anyone, so therefore he took it upon himself. Where does he know from? Yeshua. It said by Yeshua. Kum, Hashem says to Yeshua, he says, Kum lach, stand up. Why are you there falling down on your face? Chota Yisrael, the Eden sinned. And what happened was that Yeshua made his major conquest in Israel, but one place they went to Ai, and there 36 Eden were killed. And he felt that somebody sinned, and he wanted to know who. So he went and he said, who sinned? So he said, Chota Yisrael. The Eden sinned. Even though there was only one person, Hashem did not want to reveal who that one person is. Who was that one person? Hashem said, what do you think? I'm a tattletale, I'm an informer. Hatul Goralas, make a girdle, and you'll find out who it is. Now, it turned out to be it was Achan who took plunder from the Yericho when everyone was told not to take any of the plunder, and he did. Interesting that this Achan, even though despite the fact that he was the whole story that he was killed and everything else by Yeshua, we say Aleinu. Aleinu was written by Yeshua himself. But the Al Kain Nekava, they say, was written by Achan. And the first three words of Al Kain Nekava is Rosh Teva is Al is Ayin and Kain is Chof and Nekava is Nun Achan because he did Tshuva. And he did Tshuva, he wrote that piece and it became immortal. These are so Aleinu and Al Kain Nekava, the two oldest parts of davening, apart from Krishna, which is from the Torah. The boy say another answer is Moshe. Where did you learn from Moshe himself? The Chiv says that honor me'antem. It says by Moshe Rabbeinu that even though it says don't take the mon on Shabbos, he told him not take the mon on Shabbos, and nevertheless it says the Eibishter said he included all the Eden, even though it was on Dosav Avila, maybe a handful of others. That was not to embarrass. That's what we learned. When the last Nevi'im passed away, the Ruch and the Kodesh disappeared. Alpha became how you mishtamshi b'baskel. Still use the baskel. Tracer says here, that baskel is an echo, a voice, a bas of a call, a voice of a voice. The Rambam has a different shot in Morning Buch. Pamach is one thing. The one thing in the attic. All heard his voice from heaven. Yes, kanech. There's one person there. Sherosh that is suitable to the Shechina should rest in just like Moshe Rabbeinu. But she'ain doy zakal kach. But the generation is not suited to have such a person in their midst. And they all looked at Hilazak assuming that he was the person. So when he passed away, Amrullah, they said by his eulogy, Hi Chassid, what a Chassid, Hi Anna, what a humble person. Talmidah shel Ezra, he's just like Ezra, who brought the Torah. Ezra came from Babel, so the hill come from Babel, and brought Torah and generated and promulgated Torah everywhere. Shupamach, another incident similar. He was similarly by Yavna, was in Yavna, and also about Kamish heard the voice of heaven. Yes, can Echet Roshi was Shina, Sudatev, Shina, Shane, Royal not suitable, Nazakam, the name is Shmolakot, they all look Shmolakot. Ukashemes, when he died, Amrulov, High Chassid, High Honor, what a Chassid, what an honor. Talmidish Hillel, this is the student of Hillel. When he died, we saw he had because he said Shimon v'Yishmael l'charba. Shimon and Yishmael will die from the 10 Harugim Malchus. The Chavarei l'Ktola, the other 8 Harugim Malchus will be killed, and V'Shar Amal Abiza, the rest of the Jewish nation will be denigrated, disparaged. V'Akon Sgin Asidin L'Meisei of Amal, will be many, many tzaras coming up before Eden. Now Yehuda ben Baba, big Shlomo came. Yehuda ben Baba was one that Harugim Malchus. They wanted to say the same thing, that he's an unbelievable tzaddik, but by his eulogy, they're scared to give a eulogy to Malchus, because then if these were enemies of the state, and if they would give him a eulogy and praise him and so on, they might be killed as well. So we learned. Going back to the laws of Iber Shana, of creating a leap year, they need the permission of the Nasi. You want to get permission from one of the rulers of Syria to be able to make a leap year, because the government in those days were very involved in the religious affairs. The late coming, the Iber Shana, and they decided to make a leap year, but what they added was Amanas Yitze Rabbi Gamliel, and the condition of Gamliel agrees. When he came, as soon as he said it agreed, it fell nimtza shalu better. This was retrospective. So we learned. We're not only for the following reasons. These are necessities. If there's no way that they could travel, because the roads were all, let's say, muddy, the bridges were all covered with water, impossible. Or the ovens are all melted, disintegrated in the winter, and they have to wait for the sun to come out to dry. So these are 3 salient points that would make it impossible, or seminal events that make it impossible to have Pesach if you don't have these access to roads and so on. But the goal is Yisrael, people are outside of Yisrael. They already left, but they didn't arrive yet, and we know it takes them a long time. We'll give them another month. Snow is discomfort. Discomfort is not an excuse. Not because of cold. They didn't yet leave their homeland. So we learned. We do not make a leap year. If, let's say, the goats were a bit young, we know when it comes Pesach, we tried as many people as possible to join in one cart. Whatever the animal is very small, doesn't matter. So then you can always get a second animal, or you just eat less, eat a kazayis. That's all you need is a kazayis. You have a carbon chagiga if you want to eat. The sheep, not because of the birds. They also, again, those people who would come, a woman gave birth, you have to give 2 birds, and need a kapara. So if they're a small bird, so what? It's not an excuse. But if you have, we'll learn in the Alma Bays that certain things you need 2 factors to be able to make a leap year. If you have 1 factor and you include one of these, that's good enough. This is what they used to write. We want to reveal to you that we want to tell you that the birds are very tender, very small. The and the sheep are very small, immature. There's even a real and then they added, and the spring hasn't come. That spring, according to Rashi, because it's Chodesh Aviv, Pesach has to be in spring. The Shiva Mil and therefore it appeared to me, I added to this year, plus another 30 days. So we see that's the letter used to write for a leap year. So the Gemara asked 30 days. We know that according to the machlekes, when you have a leap year, the extra month, is it a 30-day month or a 29-day month? Big machlekes, by the way, in halach, when you have an extra month, let's say extra other, is it the first other, the extra other, or is it the second other? This is relevant to Yartzeit, relevant to a bar mitzvah, and the famous conundrum that we paskin by a bar mitzvah one way, we paskin by Yartzeit exactly the other way. And how does it work? How can it both be? Some people by Yortzeit Machmer that you say they hold the Yortzeit in both months. So we ask the question: how long is the Iber Shana? Shleishim 30 days. The extra month is 30 days. If you will learn only 29 days. So how can you hear? He wrote a letter. I'm adding 30 days. But they have a choice: 30 or 29. Come and see the difference between Kifoi, Kadmoi, the strong ones, and the early ones are Gamliel, who was considered a humble person. The strong ones in the beginning were more humble than the humble person later on. The time we learned, Gamliel was sitting on top of the steps of Arbayis, and Sefer Halos. The Yochanan, his scribes had before him. He had 3 documents prepared that he's going to write. So now, Amala, he said to him, "Too eager to chada. Write the first letter. Take the first letter because write la chada b'nei Galil, chada b'nei Galil tata. Ta brethren in the Galil, upper Galil, and the lower Galil. Shloimchen yazge, peace unto you. Moeder nachnochen. I want to remind you, there's my beautiful motto. It came the time of Pesach when you have to, the 36, you have to get rid of your meises. La frushe mas to give your meises matan zesa from your vat of olives." The next document, right? La'ara, la'chada b'nei derema, to our brethren, the Sal Shlimchen Yazge, peace to you. I'm going to reveal to you this Mabuda Motto. The time of beer came, La Frushimasa Mishabalia. It came time to give Maisa from your bundles of stocks and bundles of barley, the two legal and then take another letter and write because you write lachana b'nei galvasa but Babel, write to our brethren in Babel. So my Shabbat means generally from all the greats. Right to the brother and Babel, Ulachana, the brother and mother, Shakol, all other people in exile. Shleimchen Yazge, I want to offer to you peace. Right, should be peace. La'olam forevermore. But I don't have to, I want to reveal to you L'choin because La'yore Chichin, V'Maraya Arkin. I want to tell you that the birds, the doves, are very tender and young, immature, and the sheep are very thin and very small. The Zimna Davi Lamata, the added Zimna Lamata, the Shafrinus of Bampoya Machavi. But here he said Gamliel, who was a strong one. He said, and it came to myself and my friends. We had 30 days. So we see close from here that what the first Rav Shimon Gamliel was humble, said, I decided. That Gamliel, who was filled with hubris supposedly, he said, I and my colleagues. Remember, with more bracha that he impeached him. Maybe this happened after they impeached him. Or as Tesa says, at that time there were two leaders, him and Abelazar Azariah, so therefore he had no choice but to acknowledge his peer as well. Talking about we learned. The three things that we cause the leap year and Aviv on the spring, because it says that has to be Chodesh Aviv, according to Rashi. Others have different reasons. I'll pay the seal and the fruits of a tree. The fruits of a tree, we have to make sure that Shavuos, the fruits of the tree are ready, and because of the quarter. But if you're going to delay by a month, add another month, that means that the fruits Um, but if the fruits of the tree won't be ready, we can add a month so that by Shavuos it'll be ready. Otherwise, if the fruits will be ready early and you add a month for other reasons, then it comes out that the fruits, by the time you're ready to, by the time Shavuos comes along, dry already. It's not even fresh. And all you could is to take your fresh fruit with you. The Alat Kufa, the 4 seasons, the solar seasons. Kufa means the sun turns because every 90 and so days the sun turns. It's tilt. In the summer, the sun is the furthest from the earth. In the winter, the sun is the closest from the earth, and it keeps on turning. And therefore, we want to make sure that Sukkot does not come out in the winter, because then if it's all rainy, it's very difficult to go back. So we don't, and Pesach, we want to make sure it comes in the right kuf of spring and so on. We need two of these reasons to occur before we'll make a leap year. If spring is one of the reasons, everybody's happy, because if spring is not the reason, then therefore everything will, let's say the harvest is ready, but you're going to wait another month. By the time it comes to the Omer, it won't be any more fresh. We'll have to go further distances to find the Omer for the second day of Pesach. And also, what do you call it? The fruits are ready, but we can't even eat from it until the second day of Pesach. We have to wait and wait and wait. Rab Shimon but Alat Kufa, he said the words Alat Kufa. Alat Kufa Semechin. If Kufa is one of them, we are happy. That if Kufa falls out in the Tishrei, if you get and if one of the reasons is that the kufa has not yet come, and therefore we made an extra month, they're happy, because otherwise, if it's not because of the kufa, then sukkahs will be delayed by a month. It'll be in the winter season when we have to travel to the base of It's very difficult. That's enough reason on its own. We don't need another reason to take. What's he saying? We learned the 3 parts I just saw. All 3 we look at the map of the year, because not everything's the same. Yehuda, Eber, Yarden, Regalil. Actually, the big machlekes, the Shreinim, some say machlekes whether Eber Yarden actually was sanctified or not. But here we see that in certain respects it was sanctified. If 2 of them have problems, we will delay, make an extra leap year. But for one, they won't make a leap year. But if Yehuda is one of those, Is a hakos meirod happy? Why should ain't people go you the even comes really for you? You could give and therefore we want it to be ready. You should be only Yehuda. The Galil Muberes, but the evidence Muber. When the Yehuda means Yerushalayim, when the entire Yehuda is Machlekes as well. Hey, Hanani testified, the Galil ain't no better. Not only but the evidence all right, even but the evidence no good. My time the Hanani says in Pasuk. It says in the Pasuk that the Shichnai Tidrishu, the neighbors, they should do investigation. The boss of Shami should come there. Call Tidrisha Shata Daidish. Anytime you do investigation and so on and so forth, the yield of Chilish should be a neighboring Shlat. Will be owned by day, be alive at night. At night, it's not considered being a clear leap year. It's not a leap year. They have a catch of the year, but you're not a kaddish the month only by day. Because you realize they have a kuddish at night. You're not a kuddish. That's what we said before. But Yalav if you forgot the first night, you don't repeat because you were not mekadosh the chiddush at night, only in the morning. About what's the posing? How do you know? Because we know that mishpat has to be by day, but how do you know these things? These declarations have to be by day. Tiko b'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chageinu. Ezel chag shachodesh b'skasem. Which month is it that the yom tif is when there's no? How the Yom is Rosh Hashanah. It's the only Yom that we have beginning of the month. See, the Yisrael Mishpah Yaakov. See what? Beginning of the month is called a Mishpah. Ma Mishpah Yom. Just like Mishpah is by day, Af Kiddush HaChodesh B'Yom. So too, the clearing of Chodesh is by day. Have a good day.